Okay, let's start. I'm so tired.
How perfectly suited. Every time we talk about a topic, we start with that in real life somehow.
Yeah, because it's true.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always tired, but I also don't know if it's because, last time we talked about I'm a night person, you're a morning
Yeah.
person. Are you tired all the time? Or is it just night people?
I used to be. When I was overworked, I used
Mm.
to feel tired all the time, but I realized that was burnout.
Oh, shoot. Are we already diagnosed?
Yeah, that jumped really quickly from zero to like
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay,
burnout
I guess that's me.
episode.
Yeah.
No, I was so confused because I was getting like 8 hours of sleep a night, but I was
Uh-huh.
also working a lot, and then I just had to down a lot of energy drinks. So I was having an energy
Oh my
drink
God.
every day.
Okay, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Okay, I don't think it's that bad for me. I don't have to down energy drinks. I usually have one coffee a day, but sometimes when I'm really tired, I have two, especially after lunch, because I think after you eat,
Oh
you're
yeah,
even
yeah.
more
The
tired.
slump.
Yeah, because all the blood is going to your stomach instead of your
Yeah.
brain.
Wait, is that
Um,
like the moon thing for you? Like, are you sure that's scientific?
it's the moon moving all the water around
Yeah, yeah.
my
After lunch, the
body.
food drags the water, and then it forms a.
No, okay, this is scientific, okay, because you're trying to digest, so all the blood is going to your stomach.
Think you're right. I was just taking the piss.
I feel exhausted. I think it also could be what you're saying, right? It could be not burnout exactly. I don't think I'm there yet, but maybe just being like overwhelmed with things.
That doesn't sound much better than burnout, to be honest. You just gave it a different
It
word.
sounds a little more mild.
I'm not depressed. I'm just sad all the time.
Yeah. Which we talked about in the last
We did.
episode. There is a huge difference.
We did. Well, actually, being sad all the time
Oh, okay. Not sad all the time. I'm only sad for 1 week.
when you're awake.
Yeah, actually, when I sleep, I'm not sad. But I think it seems like something that a lot of people also feel because on the 2023 Google Wrap Up Insights, some of the search terms that get more searches per day around 2 a.m. starts with why am I and why do I?
Is there a blank? Like, why am I blank?
Yeah, so it's why am I and then dot dot dot. So people usually start their search terms with why am I, or they start their search with why do I. This starts to increase every day around 2 a.m.
Oh,
And the top five most searched globally in the past 12 months is why am I, and then people fill in this blank, and it's always why am I always tired
that's
at
true.
2 a.m. I wonder why. Maybe because you're not asleep.
I
And
think
this
you just
is
solved it. I think you just fixed that. Only answers you needed.
that should be the top
Yeah, that's
answer. Like,
pretty good.
go to bed.
Yeah, that should be the Google sponsored result. Go to
Yeah, because you're not in bed. That's why
according to
you're always tired. According to two podcasters.
yeah. I mean that makes sense. Why are they up though? That's the
I
question.
know, and then they're up, and then they're also asking, why am I tired?
Yeah.
This is the top searched in Hong Kong and Australia and globally. So this
Wow.
is literally something that everyone around the world is always asking, especially when it gets later at night.
That's impressive. It's a global phenomenon.
It is a global phenomenon that we're trying to solve today.
Does that mean the world is running short on common sense when it comes to sleep and tiredness? Because it
Or
seems like logical that you should just go to sleep.
Or maybe, like what you were saying, like sleep is not doing it for them anymore.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, you said you were still always tired even though you were getting
Yeah,
8 hours of sleep.
but if they weren't searching at 2 a.m., then okay, we can rule that out. If they were searching at normal hours, fair.
Maybe it could be night owls where they're like, you know what? I feel more awake at night, but I'm tired all the time.
They would usually have to go to work. So that means they're
You
literally
still need
sleeping
to go to
five,
sleep.
right? They're sleeping for like 5 to 6 hours. I mean,
Yeah, okay. I guess we solved it. That's why.
is it just me being too rational?
Yeah. Wait, but the other one, that says why do I just want to bring this up because it's really funny because I was
Alright.
searching for both like Hong Kong and Australia and globally what's the top, why do I search? So it's not consistent. It's not like why am I always tired? But for Hong Kong, the most searched around 2 a.m. for why do I is why do I keep farting?
At 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
What?
Maybe they
Now I
ate too
really
much
want to
beans.
Google, like, do you fart more at night versus morning?
Damn it, that should have been our last episode. Why am I gassy?
Yeah, at night.
Does it have to do with the moon? Is it Mercury in retrograde? Is that all the Gatorade I've been drinking?
Dude, that okay, that I have no idea about that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, after I searched it, a lot of medical articles actually come up, and I'm like, we're not going into
Yeah,
this.
this WebMD will
Actually
be
gets
like
into a
you've got
serious thing.
cancer probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, so today we're trying to answer why are we so tired or why am I always tired? And then it's obvious that we should talk about resting. Why does resting feel so good, but then everyone is always so guilty about resting?
That's good.
And then finally, is being tired good for your mental health? Which I think seems like there's an obvious answer, but I found some very interesting research that could say that, maybe it's not as black and white as it is.
Okay, all right, let's dig into it.
Okay, so why are we always tired?
A quick clarification: how are we defining always tired? Like every
According
day?
to the DSM 5.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have a stipulation for that. I have a tendency to overlook when I'm not tired, and then
What do you mean?
I would forget when I'm not tired. I would forget some happy moments, and then my brain might be skewed to remember the negatives in my life or when I'm tired.
Oh, I think when I think of, people who ask, like, why am I always tired? Or sometimes when I think, why am I always tired? It's when
Mm.
I wake up and I feel like I'm not fully rested. And throughout the day, I feel groggy.
Okay,
And then at night, usually it's still like, oh, I really want to go to bed, but then I don't. And then again, it's another vicious cycle.
right. Okay, okay. Because I think everyone defines always tired differently. Like, what is
Mm,
tiredness and what is always? For some, it's
yeah.
you're just waking up, not feeling rejuvenated. For others, it's always like throughout the day. But there's different explanations for each of those definitions. So I think
Yeah.
it's helpful just to for people to know what kind of tiredness they're referring to.
Yeah, and what kind of tiredness we're referring to in this episode as well. So
Yeah.
for me, it was exactly that. So when you say that you're tired, what?
Overall, it was feeling tired, but not physically tired. Me
Yeah,
knowing that I can function. I'm functioning very well, in fact, but
yeah.
like just feeling like I don't want to do anything. I'm lethargic, total psychological tiredness as opposed to a physical one.
I also think that's what people are searching for. I don't think they're searching for, like, why am I always physically tired? Because I think that usually has more of an obvious explanation.
True. Yeah.
But mental tiredness is really hard to figure out. Like, is
Yeah.
it burnout? Is it overwhelmed? Is it lack of sleep?
Burnout for
And
me,
then
sleep for some people.
sometimes I feel like I sleep a lot, but I'm still tired. I don't, like I said, I don't think it's burnout. I think it's just I feel like there's so many things that I want to do or have to do. And then when I think of it all at once, I'm like, okay, I don't know where to start. I'm just going to take a nap.
Okay, all right. So maybe it's like an
Is that
avoidance.
burnout?
No, I feel like it sounds more like avoidance in that case.
That sounds worse. That sounds like it's my own doing.
Well, there's solutions to both. They're both results of some lifestyle or some way of living that you choose. So both of them are well within your control to stop. Burnout management is not difficult based on my experience, especially if your tiredness is avoidance based, then it's just a matter of prioritizing things, time management, and values re examination.
Yeah, that sounded like way too many steps. So to not avoid being tired, I have to break everything down
Yeah.
into smaller tasks.
Yeah. But then you also feel less overwhelmed if you do that.
Sometimes I do that and then I look at my list and I'm like, that is a lot of things.
Yeah, like objectively, it could be a lot of things. Like it's overwhelm could not just be an emotional reaction. It could be external. It could be objectively that you've got too much on your plate. But then the
Yeah.
good news is then you get to make changes. And if you can't, well, I don't know anyone who actually can't make any changes at all.
If that's any one of you, please leave us a comment.
Right. If the fate of the world relies on you continuing to burn yourself out, then thank you for your service.
Definitely breaking it down in a smaller task and then tackling the ones that seem like it's easier to complete is way better than just having it all in my head and then being like, oh my God, where do I even start?
Yeah, yeah. So with most of my clients who feel that way, their tiredness or burnout stems from that. It can be fixed
Mm.
within like 2 sessions.
Wow, that's actually pretty quick.
Yeah, like that's like 3 or 4 weeks.
That's it. We solved the whole. Here is your solution. This is how you stop being tired. I guess that's like my case of like being overwhelmed. And then in your case of like being burnt out, is it also just, trying to figure out what you should prioritize and not putting too much on your plate?
Yeah, for me it was more psychological, I think. It was more stemming from my beliefs around how hard I should be working and
Oh.
what I should be prioritizing in life. So I was working 5 days a week, like 6 or 7 clients, 6 to 8 clients a day. I could handle the workload itself, but I was in a stage of life where I didn't really know what I wanted. So I just needed to fill up my time with work. And I was not really living a life. I was like going to work and then going home and then just couch potato and then repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and I think what you said was so important too, that you mentioned you felt like you should be working a lot harder than you were. And
Yeah.
that is where that guilt from resting
Yeah,
comes from,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like if you take a rest and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm wasting time. Like
Yeah, I could be
this is
earning money
precious time."
or I could be,
Exactly, which is such a horrible feeling because like everyone always tells us, you need proper sleep, which is resting. You
yeah.
need to do things that you enjoy, which is resting. But I think when we think about what resting is, we always just think it's you just sitting on a couch, like literally not
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
anything.
yeah. But it's not like it's definitely not. Like with all my clients, I have this thing where I found it online. It's like 7 types of rest. We can add it in the notes later, but there's it's not definitely just sitting there. For a lot of people, it's not sitting there watching Netflix.
Sometimes it is for me, and then I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
my gosh,
that's
what am
fair.
I doing with my life watching all of these shows? Well, I mean, I was also reading an article on Psych Central that another reason of, why we feel guilty when we rest is that sometimes it could be ingrained into our culture as well,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
for Asians.
yeah,
Like we feel like we need to be working hard
yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
time.
This
And
hustle
if we're
culture
rest
built into our culture.
Yeah, exactly. And then if we're resting, that means we're not using the time efficiently.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder where that comes from. Like, we are a hardworking culture for sure, and survival has been like such a key, like front of mind thing for I think the previous generation. But for our generation, I feel like we didn't really have that. Like, we haven't been through any major wars or like we never
Yeah.
had to swim across any borders or anything. So how did we learn this mindset? Like, we just study really hard. Boo hoo, you know.
From our parents, probably. I mean, it's all like passed down generation from generation, right?
Yeah.
Like, even as a kid, I would have class after class.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. Kumon or something.
yeah, I would have after school class. I have a different one every single day of the week. Like on
Oh
Monday, it's
wow.
math, Tuesday, English, Wednesday, art,
Whoa.
Thursday, piano, Friday, I'm pretty sure there was something else. And then Saturday is like Chinese class. So it's like you don't really understand that concept of
Yeah.
rest because okay, after the after school class you go home, you do homework, you have dinner, maybe we get like half an hour to an hour of TV time or
Yeah.
playtime, and then you got to practice piano, you got to
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
like
I
practice
heard
all of these other things.
that. Yeah. Yeah. And parents don't prioritize it. Like, being raised as Asians, we don't have parents who just like, you should rest now. You should sit and watch TV, right? It's a continuous struggle between us wanting something and them saying something else.
Yeah, I wonder if in Western culture the parents are more like, here's like, this weekend. I guess it is. They're more like this weekend we're gonna go out
Yeah.
for a day at the zoo. We're gonna
Camping.
go out for yeah, go camping. We're gonna go for a picnic. Like they enjoy more of the
Yeah.
outdoorsy things
Yeah.
as
I
well.
agree.
I'm not saying that Asians parents don't do that. I think
Yeah.
Asian parents do, but then throughout the week they pack a lot more on.
I think it's efficient. I think there's a point to be made in why there are so many successful Asian community or pockets of communities in all over the world. Like, because they grind, they hustle. You know, they're not afraid of
Yeah.
hard work for sure. Their work ethic is like second to none. But I think this is the side benefit: is we get this. Woohoo! We don't
Yeah.
rest is the enemy.
That's true. And now every time I have like I might chill for 30 minutes and then after that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what else should I be doing? I shouldn't
Yeah,
just be sitting here on the
yeah.
couch. Like I should be reading. I should be even if I'm reading, I shouldn't be reading a fiction book. I should be reading that's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
benefiting my
feel that too.
brain."
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I
right?
listened to music in the beginning, when I first was like right after burnout, I was listening to music and like I should be listening to like self growth
Podcast. Like
podcasts or whatever, and I found that my brain was actually so overstimulated.
that's why you're tired too, right?
Yeah,
When your
yeah,
brain is also overstimulated. You have too many things going on in your
yeah,
brain and you can't
yeah,
even absorb any new information anymore.
yeah, yeah. Like watching a show, I will need to be on my phone and also playing maybe some other thing on the third screen. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Just be like,
You need to like multitask. Yeah, you're like, I can't just concentrate on one show anymore
yeah,
either.
no, no, no. I have to switch. It's like commercial break.
That is also another reason why you're so tired.
Yeah.
Um, because another article that I read was that apparently in one research done in 2016, it's called "Happy Now, Tired Later," and then there's a even longer
Okay.
title extension to this. I'm also going to put this in the show notes. Everything will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
But apparently, extroverted and conscientious behavior is actually linked to positive mood and lower levels of fatigue at the time, but you actually experience higher level of fatigue after 3 hours.
Oh.
So, I
Yeah.
think extroverted behavior makes sense because
Yeah.
you're being social, you
You're
like
draining your
have to
battery. Yeah.
exactly. But then the conscientious behavior is like, it's being organized, being self-disciplined. And I
Right.
guess
Sure.
that's where we feel like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been improving, always growing.
And at that time you're like, actually this feels pretty good, but 3 hours later you're like, I need a nap.
Yeah. But then when you build up, when that accumulates over years, then it's like it's part of your personality trait to be tired.
I, I need a coma.
Yeah. I need a 6 month break every twice a year
Yo, I wish that's hibernation. I need to go into hibernation.
from my cultural roots. My social battery drains a bit quicker than the other people around me. Like it
Mm.
burns really bright like a firework and then it's just gone.
Oh, okay.
Is that you? Like how long do you last on a night out?
I think that's a really good question. I think it depends on the activity. This is a shout out to my friend. On the flight, we were sitting next to each other for 4 hours. So
Yeah.
we just talked the entire time. And we
No.
literally just talked the entire time.
I
And
could
then we
not.
got off the flight. Yeah, we got off the flight and we were both like, I'm not tired at all. But at another situation where I went to, it was kind of like a networking event. And
Oh, those are so
it was
great.
for maybe like 4 hours. And after that, I had to cancel my plans at night because I was like, I literally couldn't.
Oh, that bad. You had to cancel. Yeah, that's like my level. That's really bad. Like, canceling because you're just socially drained.
Yeah. But then see, it's different, right? Like
Yeah,
with
yeah, very
people who, like new people, like, you use up more of your social battery.
for sure. But then, okay, for comparison, even with my best friend, I traveled with him to Philippines last year for my birthday, and we did not talk at all, basically, on the flight.
What?
But we were happy in our own little thing, like doing our own things, and then we would have like a few exchanges, but we had it was like 2 sentences, 3 sentences max.
Was this the flight back home or the
No,
flight there?
both. Like we just,
What?
but he's
Do you
like,
guys talk at all on the trip?
yeah. Hey, let's get a tattoo. Okay,
That's it.
that's about it.
If you had a transcript for the entire trip, it's only
Yeah,
like
it'll be
four
like two
lines.
pages. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah,
It's
like
just a repeat of the same thing.
yeah. So it's for me. It's not about I guess how close I am. It's just the battery is drained, just
But
regardless.
then I could also counter argue that sometimes the people that you're closest with, you might also kind of run out of things to say. So
Yeah,
then it's
yeah,
good to just take a break. And then when you're traveling, you're seeing new things. So you have more topics to
yeah.
talk about.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, look back to the topic of like tiredness. I think I can kind of tell when it's social tiredness or like physical tiredness by now.
Mm.
And physical is definitely just because I need my beauty sleep at 10.
Oh, okay.
But then the social
Yeah.
one can be way earlier than that. It could be like 4 in the afternoon and I can feel tired.
I think the social thing, it just depends on like where you're at or what you're doing. And then it could drain faster
Yeah.
or it could be refilled as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think also kind of leads into, is being tired good for mental health? Because
Mm.
when we talk about like, our social battery being drained, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad for your mental health, right?
Nah, no, I don't think so. Because I think tiredness for me, it's functional because it's telling you that you should rest. It's
Mm,
giving you a limit, like a boundary internally. Because otherwise, you would have no metric. It's like pain. Is pain always bad? No, not really. Because it's telling you you're being hurt and you need to protect yourself. So those
yeah,
who don't feel pain, they wouldn't know if their arm was broken, and then they would just keep using it.
yeah,
So tiredness is like our body's needing to recover, and then if we listen to it, we will recover accordingly. If we don't, and keep pushing, then we just sleep until 9:30 on a Sunday, right?
Dude, 9:30 is so early. As we are saying, like, being tired could be good for your mental health. There are some research that supports that theory as well. Because apparently, if you're tired and you're in a good mood when you're tired, that
Right.
combination of feeling tired and happy could actually enhance your acceptance of unusual ideas. So it could actually
So
help with your creative thought.
happy and tired is helpful
Happy and tired. Yeah.
for creative.
So just because you're tired, it doesn't mean you're not happy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So it's like a
Yeah.
buzz. It's like a type of natural buzz.
Yeah, but when I think of like, being happy and being tired and then being acceptable of weird ideas, I think you're just being delirious. Like when you stay
Yeah,
up for too long.
yeah. That's a good point. It's almost like those stoner thoughts. Then at that point, it's like, oh, what if you?
And then it's that time where you're like, oh, let's get a tattoo of like
Yeah, let's get
a
one.
fry on our foot or something. I was like,
Let's
oh,
get
that's a great
chunky
idea.
llama tattoo on your hand.
That's when those weird ideas and you're like, you know
True.
what? Yeah, let's do it.
When everything sounds good, that's like the receptivity, right? Is when you're
Yeah.
happy enough to accept any idea and actually entertain it. But then when you're awake,
Yeah.
you're like, that was a stupid idea.
That was the worst thing I've ever done. No, but it's true because then on some other like YouTube videos and some articles that I've read too on how you should be trying to convince people, one of the way is you should wait for someone else to be really tired because they're easily influenced when they're tired. So if you're trying to sell them or influence them to do something, just wait till they're really tired.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
actually a tactic.
when you should be having like serious conversations with your partner, like if you want them to change, then just start a conversation at 10.
No, you know what? That's a really good point because in one of the articles, it says that in an overheated debate,
Yeah.
you being tired could actually lead you to misinterpret the entire situation.
Oh my
And
god.
then you could end up having like really negative thoughts about your partner or whoever you're arguing with. And you'll start
Um,
to think that they're being stupid, they're being deluded, like
right,
they're wrong
right.
because you're not thinking clearly when you're tired.
So what if you're not tired, but they are, and you're trying to convince them of something?
Then you should just be like, go to sleep.
No, but then they're more receptive. So you kind of like
Oh, okay. Yeah.
accept them with
Yeah,
an
then that's
idea,
fine.
and then they go to sleep, and then they just
Yeah.
wake up accepting it.
Yeah. You just have to be really good at influencing people,
Yeah,
not manipulating,
that sounds totally like
influencing.
manipulation, but okay.
Yeah, so being tired could be good for your mental health, but obviously, like you said, if you're always tired and then if you're in an argument, that is not good.
So how do you rest now?
It's still a learning curve. I think we wanted to talk about this topic too because last time I was texting you and I was like I don't have that energy today, and then you were like, oh, you should rest, and I was like, yeah, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
I need to edit this and then I need to draw. Like I need to do all of these things. And you're like, no, but you're not feeling well. It's
Yeah,
like,
she
yes,
was
but
actually sick for the record. She was not just tired; she was sick.
oh yeah.
And then the next day, you were like, "Oh, I did this and that," and I was like,
Yeah.
we literally just talked about this yesterday. You should have been rested.
Yeah, but then I like give myself these deadlines and I'm like, I should have this done by then. I have a whole day to rest. And then when I start to feel better, I can do all of these other things.
Yeah, you can rest.
But I think now I try to rest by doing something that I like. So, like we mentioned earlier, resting is not just, sitting on the couch watching Netflix,
Yeah,
which still is one part of my
yeah,
resting
yeah.
routine. It is still something
Important.
that I enjoy doing. Yeah. But another one is just going out and having a meal. That to me is
Oh,
still
nice. Yeah,
it's
by
resting.
yourself.
Actually, sometimes I enjoy doing it by myself because it gives me it's me time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I get that.
And now I'm picking up reading fiction books again because
Oh, nice.
it's still a form of relaxing. And then at least I don't feel like I'm constantly overstimulating my brain and being like, you need to be learning. Like, or like everything that I do needs to be working towards something else.
Yeah, it's like even making rest like Duolingo. Like you have to rest. You're on a resting streak, or you rested 6 days in a row. That's too much.
Yeah, that's too many. Like that's too many days. How many hours have I been resting for?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
You know what? Maybe it's a good thing to add in resting in your to-do list as
Yeah,
something
that's
to check
true.
off,
That's a good point. I will tell my clients that from now on.
as quoted from Claudia.
Yeah, yeah. 2024, Claudia.
2024. Yeah. What about you? How do you rest now?
I'm still figuring out how I rest depending on what my tiredness is. I'm trying to like really
Mm,
fine tune myself. Like if it's physical, if I didn't sleep well, or if I slept late the previous night, then I have to realize how should I adapt my morning routine to take better care of
mm,
myself physically. Like I'll have hydration tablets. I'll go outside as opposed to staying indoors, or not have a coffee. So I don't rely on caffeine, for example. But I think generally I enjoy going outside, just like taking
mm.
walks or not being at home. If the weather's not nice like today, then I just tend to be on Netflix all day. But then I force myself to walk away from the screen a few times a day.
Yeah. Sometimes we think of resting as just still staring at a screen, but then it could
Yeah,
be, like going out and just getting fresh air.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And expression, like with my clients, I define like two types of rest, two categories of rest. One is expression, and the other is consumption. So
Mm,
it's either artistic expression or self-expression of any kind. Even conversations is expression with friends.
mm.
But consumption is like Netflix or reading or podcasts or music. I think a healthy combination of both would be great for anyone. But I
Yeah.
society tends to gravitate towards consumption. Yeah,
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. According to another research, that sharing a positive experience with another person translates into energy. So it's exactly
yeah,
what you were saying
yeah,
about, having conversation with someone is actually a form of resting as well.
yeah. I don't know about you. When I'm really tired or burned out, I actually feel like socially withdrawing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
not talking to people. But sometimes that's what we need, right? Like we're slightly extroverted, and for extroverts, with the right people, it refills your battery. So
Mm.
sometimes rest actually feels like you're fighting something. You're fighting an inner compulsion to not do something.
I think we just have to kind of rethink and redefine what resting actually means
Mm.
and accept that also resting doesn't just mean sitting there and not doing
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. It could be doing jumping jacks, and that's better
Yeah.
rest than sitting all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Resting could still mean doing things. Like for
Yeah,
some people, exercising is resting,
yeah,
right? But for some other people, exercising could be a chore.
yeah. You know what? I just saw something. Another way I rest, I recently found out, and this makes me sound very 30 and very old, but it's doing laundry. Like when I fold laundry or like when I hang laundry, I don't listen to anything and I let my brain just zone out, and it's the best. Like the
Oh,
best.
that's because you're putting on like autopilot, right? Like you
I'm doing
can
something
shut
else.
off your
It's like
brain,
productive,
but
but
you're doing something.
also yeah. So both sides of my culture and the productivity and rest and like need for headspace, like it's all satisfied in that one house chore.
Oh, that's a pretty good way to look at it.
I like
And but
doing.
actually, yeah, it could turn off your brain. Like it could be something that like it's like mindless tasks.
Yeah. But it's also it's mindless and mindful. Like I choose not to listen to anything while I do the dishes, and then I focus
Mm,
just on each dish and plate and whatever. And it's the same thing as doing laundry for me. It just feels
yeah.
really zen.
Meditation also isn't just about sitting there, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breathing. It
Yeah,
could be when you're doing these like quote unquote mindless and what you said
yeah,
mindful tasks because you're focused on maybe folding the clothes, but
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
That is also a form of meditation.
For sure, yeah. And another related point to that, it's being present. Because
Mm,
engagement equals presence, right? Like if you engage in anything, no matter how mundane it is, even walking or eating, then that
yeah,
means you are present, like fully present in that moment. And then that's living your life. Your life is just
yeah,
a sequence of
it's
moments.
in moments.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
you miss this moment, you have not lived. You've skipped a beat in the heartbeat of your existence. So it's
Yeah.
just every beat, are you there?
Being present in the moment, that's when your brain stops thinking about all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other things that are
yeah,
going on with your
exactly.
life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all the other thoughts that are going in your mind is what is making you mentally tired.
So it's literally resting from your thoughts.
So you're taking a break from the overwhelming, like thoughts that are way too loud and being present. And that's what meditation is, right? You're
Yeah,
trying to focus on your breathing because you're trying to get rid of all the thoughts that are too loud. Like you can
yeah,
recognize it, but you let it pass.
yeah.
So it's the same thing as like being present, where you're taking the time to smell the flowers.
I love how you segued into a quick way. Love it. That's really
And then
high.
now this is turned into a headspace podcast.
And now we breathe. Let's do a breathing exercise.
At least it helps us kind of define, what kind of tired we're talking about
Mm,
and what kind of rest you could have, which
yeah.
isn't just sitting around.
In fact, I'd say like for most people, try something other than sitting around, and you'll probably feel better for it. Like in half the time that it takes to watch a series or binge watch a series.
Unless the series is really good.
I don't
But
know, man. I don't know, man. I might have to agree to disagree with you on that one.
red flag or green flag? Someone who always talks about how busy they are.
Red flag.
I think it's a red flag
It's a new
too.
segment, okay?
Look, even if they're busy all the time saving the world, I'm like, do you have to rub it in my face that you're achieving so much?
Yeah, I also think like we've become such a culture of competition of busyness.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
you're not busy, then you're
yeah,
failing in life.
yeah, yeah. And have you noticed people don't know how to respond to you when you tell them you haven't been doing much?
Yeah.
They're just like,
They're
oh,
like,
okay.
"Oh, well, now we have nothing to talk about because you have nothing going on in your
Yeah.
life."
But I feel like as well, it's a societal thing where there's not much vernacular. There's not much in the common vernacular to talk about rest and not doing much, not achieving much.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I rested very well over the weekend. They'll be like, oh, cool. But you don't
But
ask
what
more
else
until
did you
like,
do?
oh,
Yeah.
what? How do you rest? Or like, how did you feel when you're resting? Like, there's none of those follow up questions.
When
Like,
you're like, "Oh, what did you do over the weekend?" You also feel a pressure to say,
yeah, yeah,
"Oh, I had so many activities. I
yeah,
did this, I
yeah.
did that, I did that." Sometimes I feel guilty or like ashamed to be like,
Right.
I didn't
Yeah,
do much."
yeah, yeah. I almost sound apologetic when I say not much.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
sorry, I'm just
boring.
here in our polite talk. in a, but it's not our fault, I don't think, and it's not theirs either. It's just we're not used to exploring the depths of rest.
Actually, I've started this thing where sometimes people ask me if I'm really busy at work, and I'll just tell them, honestly, I'm not that busy this week. Like,
Yeah,
I have work, like, I'm
yeah,
doing things, but I'm
yeah,
not that busy. Like, I'm not overwhelming myself.
yeah.
And
That's
then, like
amazing.
you said, they sometimes don't really know how to respond to that, and they'll kind of give me a condescending, like, oh, that's good for you.
Oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah, that's definitely a red flag. Like just because we don't have the same level of things
Yeah,
that we're doing, it doesn't mean I'm worse than you.
yeah. And why is busyness a good thing?
Yeah, or when people are like, "Oh my God, I was so packed. I didn't even have time to sleep." I'm like, "That's not healthy."
But bro, you need to fix your life.
Yeah. You need to prioritize better.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but I say all this so confidently, but then behind the scenes I'm also like, "Oh, maybe I should be busy."
yeah. I know you. It's a daily struggle.
I think it's also a social media thing. If I'm not posting a
Oh,
story, it means I didn't do anything today. It means I am a boring person.
yeah, if my last post was 6 weeks ago, do I even
Yeah.
exist?
No.
I'm not living a life worthy of Instagram.
No, I think you were in hibernation.
Yeah, yeah, I've ceased to exist.
Okay, next one. Red flag or green flag? Someone who drains your social battery when you spend too much time with them.
How much is too much?
Maybe just someone who, you could spend time with this person and you could spend time with another person, and person A just drains you more than it would person B.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's a red flag for me or a green flag because I don't think that's a green flag, like for sure, but it's not a red
Yeah.
because I don't think everyone has to fill my social battery for them to be a green flag person.
I
Does that make
100% agree. This is where we use the term beige flag.
beige flag? It's still a thing? I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, I still never Googled it after we talked about it. I was like,
Are you the same?
yeah, I agree. I think there are people who drains my battery faster, but it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It
Right,
just means
right.
it, like we might not vibe as well, or maybe it's the
Yeah,
conversations are not refilling. I don't know.
right.
Maybe, yeah, it could just be the conversations that we're having or the
Yeah.
activities that we
It
go
could just
through.
be a day thing. Like it's just not peak form.
Yeah, it's true too. It could just be my energy level internally, and it has nothing to do with that person.
Yeah, I've had to learn to separate how good the hangout is from how good a person this is. When you hang out with someone and then 2 out of 3 times they're a bit of a drain, then
Yeah.
I would have to reevaluate, wait, why am I spending time with them in the first place? And I remember, oh, actually, they're a really good person and a good
Yes,
friend.
that's me too.
It could just be 2 bad days in a row.
Or it could be you guys don't mesh 100%,
Yeah,
but if you still enjoy their company, I think it's
yeah,
fine. Maybe you could like limit the time that you see them.
that's true. Look at us. So mature.
Creating solutions. We are green flags.
Okay, I think that's a bit much.
That's going too far.
That I was going to.
Red flag or green flag? Claudia and David.
Dude, I don't want to know
Green
what it
flags.
is. I don't want people to, to give an answer to that. Do not
Wait, gotta
comment.
separate it. No, gotta separate Claudia or David.
Oh,
Don't group us together.
no, that's the worst. Don't even have a curve to rely on. It's just separate.
Okay, but like me saying that, that makes me a red flag.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed.
Okay, number 3. Someone who doesn't reply your texts because they're too busy napping.
That's so oddly specific. So every time they don't reply you or they take forever, they tell you it's because they were napping.
They're napping. Yeah, I've actually
We should-
heard of. Yeah, actually, I, I think it might have been me. There was one period of that where I just really liked to nap, and every time someone would text me, I would
Oh
reply
my
like,
gosh.
"I'm sorry, I was just taking a nap," and then I started to see a pattern,
Oh
and I was like,
no.
"Wait."
Wow. Okay, I think that's a red flag, but not for the other person. It's for you to fix your life.